Hi, B-Siders. Welcome to a brand new episode of my podcast. I'm so glad you have tuned in and are ready for some more musical golden nuggets shared by another amazing guest. And without further ado, I'm going to dive right in. And my guest on this episode is the wonderful Niki. Hello, Niki. Thanks for joining me today.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. Right, Niki, we're just going to introduce you quickly, and then we're going to dive in all things music and your stories around music and specific artists. But before we do, a little bit of a bio so people know who you are, what your background is. You can hopefully then get a bit more of a feel for everything that you're going to share today as well. Now, you're a food freedom architect. I had to look at that quickly because I've never heard of it before. So that'd be interesting for you to share a little bit more around that. And you're also the founder of the Happy Hearted Eating. Sounds interesting too. And one thing I always find fascinating is I see a lot lately that a lot of people go from like corporate jobs, six-figure corporate jobs, leave all that behind and start their own entrepreneurial journey. And you're the same. You gave that away.
Yes.
Now, if you can just quickly cover how that came about, and then, we can let loose on the music bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to start with Food Freedom Architect because that's a really good place to start.
Okay.
So I actually named myself that. And the reason I named myself that is I really want to help shape. I have shaped my own relationship to food, and I want to help other women reshape their relationship to food. That's where that architect piece comes in. Architects have control and you can shape. And so my company is called Happy Hearted Eating. And yes, I did have a corporate six-figure job that I walked away from, right? The known job that was very well known and very stable. I could have stayed at that job for the rest of my life. But I had these little whispers that said, go make an impact somewhere else. So, and COVID absolutely was a push. It wasn't the push. It was just another piece to say, hey, Niki, you've got another 30, 35 years, I'm 52, of good life in me. What do I want my legacy to be? What do I want my impact to be? And in my corporate role, I can be easily replaced. I am just another cog in a wheel. And my impact is small compared to the impact I can now have with women directly. Such a different avenue for me to go down. And I am super excited about it. I mean, I suffered childhood trauma with my dad's domestic violence and his alcoholism, my mom dying of cancer when I was 15, and then my stepdad sexually abusing me. And I speak, gently about those things. Those things absolutely impacted my emotional state, which then totally impacted how I handled those emotions. And for me, I ate them. I literally shoved food down to push them down, to numb, because I didn't know what to do with the emotions. The adults around me didn't have really good skills and to show me how to express my feelings, that emotions were normal. There were no such thing as bad or good emotions, and that expressing them was important. And that's where music came in. Music is such a powerful expression of all the emotions. And I think that's why it's such a universal across all cultures. Yes, so I walked away from corporate and I am now supporting women to change their relationship with food so that they can start to feel, so they don't push it away or numb, particularly because bad things have happened to all of us. And that's normally why we're eating, to push things away or numb.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, I can relate because I always say I'm a bit of an emotional eater myself, but I've become very conscious about it. So I do now realize when I go to the pantry and I reach for that chocolate bar, I'm like, why are you eating it? Is it because you really just want the chocolate, or do you want to numb something?
Yeah.
So then my hand
I call those the whispers from the pantry in the fridge. Psst, psst, psst,
yeah,
they call your name, right?
Right. Yeah. But now I'm better at saying no. No, no.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can relate to a certain degree. Obviously, I'm not a bad emotional leader, I suppose, compared to some others. But yeah, I can relate. And I think a lot of
Mm-hmm.
women can relate, don't
I
we?
think lots of men can too. My bailiwick just happens to be women. I
Mhm.
think men need some different kind of care and attention because I think culture in North America, particularly, I don't know about Australia or around the world, but I know North America is very hard on men, saying, "Man up, don't cry." There's a bunch of really toxic messages that men get
Mm.
that I think are even worse, and I think men tend to pick um, substances that are harder because they get really challenging messages that say "man up."
Mm. Whole nother topic.
Yes.
Important topic, but not what we're here, unfortunately, to cover. But yeah, it's a sad thing. It
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be like that anymore, I don't think. So not good.
Well, I'm here to help change it. Let's
There
change
you
the
go.
conversation. Yes.
Yes, that's why we need people like you to start that movement of change. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes.
Build a new building, which is more suitable. Tear the other one
Mm-hmm.
down.
And music is such an important part of how we can change our emotional state. So some people would say, well, why would Niki want to, talk to Brigitte about how we're doing this? Well, because music can change your emotional state, and
Mhm.
then you can feel your feelings and you can move forward in a different way rather than eating.
Yes, absolutely. I
Yeah.
couldn't have said it any better. So we already see why music plays a big part in your life and business life, but
Mhm.
otherwise, apart from business and using it, to help people recognize and deal with their emotions, how important is music in your life, genuinely?
Oh, hugely. Okay. You know the island question. You can only take three things to an island.
Hmm.
Music is absolutely on that list. I have to have music. It fills me up. It helps me cry when I need to cry. It's everything for me. I mean, there are very few moments when I don't have music going on in the background or a song playing in my head.
Hmm.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So for me, it's pivotal, and I also like discovering new music. So here in Canada, we've got the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation (CBC), and they do play a lot of different type of music. So I get exposed by listening to that radio channel to different types of music, which I absolutely love and adore. And I know that I shared some with you in an email exchange about some of the fantastic electric indigenous music that's
Mm.
here, and it's just electric powwow. It's just amazing. So yes, I don't know what I would do without music, and to be honest, I don't know how I would have gotten through my mom dying of cancer and then her death without Prince
Yeah.
playing in my Walkman over and over and over again. It
Yeah.
was the way that I could process those emotions, so many emotions, grief and sadness and anger and I'm not ready and why is this happening, and
Mm.
it just helped me process. Prince was my therapist at 15.
Amazing, amazing. I was just about to ask you if there's a particular artist that was important, but you've just said it really nicely. And it's amazing. I mean, if you talk about Prince, that's maybe not necessarily something people think about. That he could be like a therapist in that sense for you, helping you with that phase of your life when your mum
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately was very sick and then passing away. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but if you hear about Prince, people think about his sexy move and his sexy music, and it's more on that end of the spectrum. So that really fascinated me, that he was like on the complete other side for you. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I loved his song Nikki because I'm a Nikki. However, yeah, I mean, there was so many of his songs are very, sad and angry, and you just have to listen and pay attention. And yes, it's also sexy too, because here's the thing about life. It's not one thing or the other. It's
Mhm.
all of it together. How do we feel sad and sexy and angry and joyful, right? Like all of it is good. That's part of the human condition.
Mm, yeah. And I remember having a conversation with someone, with another guest who loves Prince, and one thing that's really sort of stuck in my mind was, no one's only a saint, they're also a sinner. There's like all these different
Mhm.
shades to us. So
Yes.
whilst he was looked at a lot like a lot to be dealing in this sexy spectrum of things, he obviously also dealt with a lot of probably personal complexity and emotions which come through in the songs. If you, I mean, the ones that I know of Prince, you sort of can feel that there's a bit something
Mhm.
underneath. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Well, and I'm fascinated too. I'm going to be looking up, I guess his estate posthumously has released a jazz album, because of course he has many recordings. And so I guess he had gone into the realm of jazz, which I also loved as a 15-year-old. So I am absolutely, I heard one song and I was like, oh, damn. Prince. Oh, I would have loved to have seen him live doing that. I mean, he was such a brilliant artist and could convey, and his, I think part of what made him fun was that he was able to sort of bop people on the nose with their preconceived notions about him and about the world. It's like the
Mhm.
world is way more than just one perspective. And I
Mhm.
love that naughtiness about him, that he bought people on the nose.
Yeah, and I guess you, even to the last day, you didn't really know who he was. He
Yes.
never gave you the full view of
Mm-hmm.
him. So yeah, a
And
very
that's a true introvert, right? I mean, like that is so brilliant. As introverts, I know you're an introvert, I'm an introvert. Um, we don't show all of us,
yeah,
probably, only those in our very closest circle will know all of us. And even then there might be a part or two that we, sort of keep tucked away,
yeah,
only for the reason that, we like it tucked away.
yeah. It's I don't know, it's just kind of something we do. I don't think we do it intentionally. Sometimes we might, but generally we don't. It's just who we are. We don't think anything of it if someone
No, that's
points it
right.
out. So
Yes, yes.
yeah, that could be. So what particular songs helped you get through that tough time with your mum? I'm just curious to know which ones there were.
Well, I mean, When Doves Cry. I mean, I think that one, it has such a, just the way he sang it, or the actual lyrics, When Doves Cry, it was so sad.
Mm,
And so it just really, I really felt like Prince understood my heart and its sadness as a 15-year-old whose mom was dying. And just the way that whole album generally was expressed was, many songs were so melancholy, and that gave
mm,
me the opportunity to really press into my grief as opposed
mm.
to pretend it wasn't there. So Prince didn't pretend that things weren't there, he actually dove headlong into them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what I find so amazing, that there's just this one person who's so creative. And I mean, Prince was a genius, let's put it that way. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, played all the instrument, wrote and recorded all his own songs and whatever else he did on top of that. But that this one person who's an artist can provide basically almost like a safe space within 3 or 4 minutes for you to process
Yes.
stuff. I
Yes.
honestly wish more people would share that with the artists and let them know.
Yes. And I think that's why playlists are so important.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple breakups in my lifetime, and You know, there's nothing like going to a playlist to cry my eyes out, so that I, you know, because again, holding all those tears in and that anger and frustration in and sadness in actually does harm to our bodies. We got to let it out. We got to let the tears flow. We got to lay on the floor in a puddle, and that's actually good for us. And sometimes we need to be angry, and we need to be, you know, banging the pots and pans as we're, you know, dancing around our house, you know, really super angry. And that's good too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, later on, another important song for me was You and I by Celine Dion. And it was important for me because it was actually on the radio after I had told my stepdad's youngest brother what his brother had done to me. And I hadn't, other than telling my brother and my therapist, I hadn't told anybody else. I had just dropped out of the family and nobody knew what had happened. And then I finally told essentially my uncle. He was only 3 years older than me, so felt more like friends. And I told him what happened to me. And then that song, Celine Dion song, You and I, came on the radio as I was driving away. And I felt so free. I felt so liberated from this dark, heavy secret that I felt was my cross to bear, when it was never my cross to bear. It was never my secret to keep. I was the survivor, and I could let it go and be free. And that song came on, and it's stuck in my head forever now because of the way it made me feel.
You know, that's just so powerful. Sometimes I'm struggling to find the words to really describe what I think these moments in these songs really do to people and help them to get through. It's just, you know, it's I sometimes I wish I could just take this and send it off to like the people, the artists, and say, you've got to watch this. This is the impact you're having on one person's life. Now that's just one person which you've impacted, you know. Do you realize it's yeah, I wish I could do that. You know?
Well, you know what? There is, you know, I think it would be fantastic if all of your members started a writing campaign and started sending letters to their favorite artists to say, dear so and so, this is how you impacted me. And this is, you know, the difference you made. And so I challenge you, I challenge me. Celine Dion is still alive. I commit, I'm writing this down, write a letter to Celine Dion to say thank you, because you helped me feel liberated after such a hard discussion. Don't get me wrong, that was the hardest thing, one of the hardest things I've had to do, right? Tell my story and not know if I was going to be believed or not. And also have to come to a place that it didn't matter if he believed me or not. I needed him to protect his children from somebody who could potentially hurt his children. And that was liberation and freedom for me. So we should all write our artists and say thank you, express our gratitude for the medicine that they've given us in their music.
Yeah. And for some, there might be several artists.
Yes.
For me, it would be hard to pick one because there's so many that had played a part in different phases of my life, like with you, Prince, and then Celine Dion. So that's a lot of email writing or letter writing. But,
yes. And, you know, I think the impact that we could have back on them to say, please keep bringing your artistry into the world. We need the medicine that you bring through your music. Keep bringing it.
Exactly. And I mean, the other end of the thing, the other side of it too, is let's not forget the new and upcoming artists, the people who haven't got a record deal, who are still making music, who you can hear playing in a bar or at a wedding, or, you know, if you like it, just go up to them and tell them that they did a really amazing job and you enjoyed yourself. That's important too. It's not just the people who fill up big stadiums or sell many records. Without those people who do the, let's say, day-to-day music that we hear when we go out to a celebration or whatever, they're important too. So I think
absolutely,
I just wanted to kind of put that in there because I feel like these people get left out a lot, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And especially during the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
these were the ones that suffered probably the most. Those artists who sold millions of records, they had their financial cushion.
Yeah,
These ones probably didn't. So
that's
yeah.
right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure those people would love lettuce too.
You're absolutely right.
Yes, yes. Now, I'm curious to know, and you've touched on that when we started this conversation. You obviously, or not obviously, you said that music plays a big part in how you work with your clients, your female clients. How does that work? When do you know that now will be a good time to ask your client? You might want to get a song out and have a good cry, or have an anthem that you have in your head when you go to the pantry, for example. How does that work? How do you use that?
That's a really good question. And part of that is, first of all, knowing that music is medicine and
Mm-hmm.
that it is universal and that everybody has songs. So it's about asking, what are the songs that make you feel happy? What are the songs that make you feel motivated? What are the songs that make you feel mellow? And
Mm-hmm.
being very conscious then of supporting clients to consciously choose music
Mm-hmm.
instead of eating as one of the many, many possible solutions or strategies to put into place. Because again, it comes back to emotional state. Do I need my clients to dive deeper into that particular emotional state? And if so, what will help them support them in that? And music is such a powerful way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Or do we need to change up are they asking for a change in their emotional state? And we can do that too. I have facilitated, because of my corporate career, a lot of sessions and meetings, and music is such a great way to get people to shift their emotions in that particular moment. You can, after lunch, we've all been to a session after lunch, you've had lunch, and now it's like, I am drifting off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can change people's emotional state by doing two things: getting them up and moving. Us introverts hate it. We hate it when people say get up and moving, but we get
Yep.
people up, and then we start to play some music, which is usually something upbeat and happy, and we get
Yep.
people moving around, right?
Yeah.
Right. You're already laughing because it
Yeah,
changes
yeah.
your emotional state.
Yeah, yeah.
It's such a simple little technique, and yet its power is so huge. And then after 3 minutes, when we play the song, sit down, everybody feels energized again, and their blood is
Mm-hmm.
pumping and their minds are going again. And they're like, okay, yeah, we can do this for a bit longer. We can keep going. Same thing driving along in your car if you're on a long road trip. Who doesn't play some uplifting music to keep things, going, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just giggled before because I've been in sort of meetings, events, whatever, similar where, let's get up and dance. And I go, oh, here we go.
I know, right? Here we go. I hate it too. Don't get me wrong. I hate it too. But I know the result is worth
Yes.
I hate this, but I know it's good for me. So I'm going to take my medicine, and then I feel better. And then I sit down and I'm
Right.
like, yeah, let's do this.
Oh God. And just Mary Poppins came to mind when you said medicine.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she had a good song about that too. So there you
She
go.
sure did. That's
Mm.
right.
Well, that's interesting. But I still feel there's more room for integrating music in not just our daily life, but in business.
Yes, in business, in hospitals, because that's I come from healthcare. So, I think we can use music in very impactful ways. At the dentist, you know what? I hate the sound of the drill. And so I, for years, have brought my earbuds in, and my dentist, I say to her, like, I'm only going to tap you if something's going wrong. Otherwise, you do your thing, and I'm going to have my music blasting in my ears,
Mm-hmm.
because it helps take the anxiety down, and it
Mm-hmm.
helps focus me on something else. That's why so many dentist office have TVs and whatnot. As you're sitting back, you can watch the TV with the headphones on. That's why they do that.
Mm.
So I think we can integrate music far more than we actually do.
Yeah. Yeah. because yeah, and you said it before, it's universal, it's a connector to
Hmm.
ourselves, to others, you know, it's huge. It's so huge. And I still feel that we don't really understand how impactful it could and can be. So I am very happy to see that more and more entrepreneurs or, you know, business owners are starting to really look at that. And I'm not talking about going to the gym and having your playlist, or, you know, I'll just have it on over lunch. It's more like, I've got an hour of really concentrating work to do, I'm going to put my deep work
Yes.
music on. Or
Yes.
you know, I want to help my client get through this barrier, and I can use music for that. So there's so many ways that we still probably need to look into how to integrate that into work and our daily lives much, much more. So I'm glad people like you and you know, other people I've met along the way are actually doing that. And that's makes such a huge difference, I think. Massive.
Hmm.
Right. So yeah, I think we've covered really great golden nuggets, your story, how you use music now with the clients you work with, how it's helped you process, I mean, some really heavy stuff.
Hmm.
And that just again shows the power that music has and can have if we let it, and if we get
Hmm.
more conscious about it. And I hope you agree with that, hopefully.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. And I want more music out there in the world. And I think the possibilities are really endless with opportunities for how we can heal with music.
Hmm. Absolutely. It's not the one and only answer, but it can play a huge, huge part. Huge part.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Nikki, thank you so, so much for sharing your music story and journey and how that is connected to your life. I appreciate it. And I'm sure my audience will take away some musical golden nuggets, as I call them.
Awesome.
If anyone wants to get in touch with you, they certainly can. The details will be
Yes.
in the episode description. Apart from that, any final last words, anything that comes to mind before you wrap this one up?
Well,
I already asked you, and you already covered the song that kind of describes your life and or business. Unless you want to cover that again. I know it was Celine Dion's song, I
it
think.
was Celine Dion. Yes.
Unless you come
Yes.
up with another one in the meantime.
Well, I, here's the challenge for all of us who love music so much is that it's hard to pick. Like,
I
yes,
know.
Prince started me, off on a very important journey with my grief. And there's so many other musicians. I guess the thing that I have to say is that go explore music, go
Mm-hmm.
explore genres,
Mm-hmm.
go explore the opportunity to explore on YouTube and Spotify are mind blowing in a way that when I was 15, there was zero opportunity to do that. Whatever came across the radio waves
That was it.
or whatever band came to your local bar was what you saw. That
Mm-hmm.
was it. Now you can go cruising on, and get lost on YouTube and Spotify. And,
Yep.
there's so many other avenues. I love live music. Live music does something special in a live setting. So I also go to live music as much as I possibly can. As a matter of fact, I got this hat in Vancouver, British Columbia, because I went to a live concert.
There you
So,
go.
yes, this is my
Nice.
saucy BC hat.
Nice. I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's so many rabbit holes you can go down these days with regards to exploring new
Yes.
music, which, like you said, we did not really have when we grew up. So, yeah,
Yes. And
definitely
my
do that.
happy hearted eating is totally connected to shifting my emotional state, using music as a tool and using music as medicine so that those whispers from the fridge and the pantry are tamed. Off you go, because I'm over here having too much fun. I'm having happy-hearted living so I can have happy-hearted eating.
Oh, that sounds really good. I like it.
It's awesome. I
It's
want it
really
for
good.
everybody.
You'll get there one person at a time.
Yes,
You're gonna change that part of the world, I'm sure.
that's right. Come join me.
I'm already here.
Nice.
All right. Well, that's it. We've done it. That's another episode done. Always goes so quickly. I can't believe how quickly these episodes go by. It's always so much fun. And thank you again for sharing your nuggets with us all. And as I said before, if anyone wants to get in touch with Niki, please check out the episode description and get in touch with her there. Otherwise, again, thank you for coming. And to you, my B-siders, I shall chat to you again in my next episode. Until then, keep on dancing and keep on rocking. Yeah, that's it. Till then.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.